Here's Johnny.
Why do we love Jack Nicholson? What do we remember about him? Gosh, what does he even look like nowadays? I mean, is this Jack? No? Oh, I didn't think so either. But since we haven't seen the Muholland Man in a while, let's revisit one of the best actors of the last century. With a stellar career spanning more than 6 decades, Jack Nicholson's roles illustrate the epitome of the bygone Hollywood machismo, and he's become world known for the unhinged characters that he's portrayed. Once one of Hollywood's leading sexy men, possessing a unique confidence and swagger.
Is he still here?
I'll be waiting.
Oh my God!
Jack makes character acting look easy peasy. He's made a career out of playing edgy, even sinister folks, which paired well with his reputation for his off-screen temper. He's been fired from jobs, and even once smashed up a guy's windshield with a golf club, but more on that later. So why hasn't the Chinatown star appeared in a movie in over a decade? I'm your host, Nostalgic Nick, and let's get to the bottom of this, right down to the last detail. I wonder if we'll be able to handle the truth.
You can't handle the truth.
Okay then, Colonel. If you enjoy our deep dive, be one of the few good men and give this video a big thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode.
When you're smiling.
I said over easy! Now why did I do that?
John Joseph Jingleheimer Smith. Wait, nope. John Joseph Nicholson was born and raised in Neptune City, New Jersey. Jackie Boy grew up in a relatively normal household with a set of parents and 2 siblings. Just kidding, of course it wasn't normal. But normal isn't fun. One of Jack's sisters was actually his mother, and his mother was actually his grandmother. Time magazine discovered this hidden family secret in 1974. They were doing research on Jack for a story and discovered the secret his mother and grandmother had taken to their graves. Nicholson was 37 years old and had this to say about the truth coming out. It wasn't what I'd call traumatizing. I was pretty well psychologically formed. But that's some tough news for Jackie. Nicholson's birth mother's name was June Frances Nicholson, and the identity of his father is not known. June was only 17 when Jack was born, which was deemed too scandalous, so her parents agreed to raise the baby as their own. And it seems Jack grew up in a home surrounded by people who loved him, but he did have his problems with his temper. He was once fired from a job in New Jersey as a short order cook when he told a lady who complained about the pancakes that she should cook her own. Luckily, he didn't need that job, but the prospects of finding an acting gig in New Jersey weren't so great. So Nicholson packed his things up and headed to sunny California, where he was hired by the animators of the Tom and Jerry cartoons as office help. And they were so pleased with his work that they offered him an entry-level animation job. But Jack declined, claiming that he intended to be an actor. But life had other plans for Jack first. In one of his award acceptance speeches, Nicholson cited May 5th, 1955, as the first day of a working actor. He considered 5 a lucky number because along with that date, he always admired Yankees center fielder number 5, Joe DiMaggio. His first acting credit was in the TV series Matinee Theater, playing a musician's son. And within the next few years, he would make his film debut in the 1958 teen drama, The Crybaby Killer. But for the next several years, he worked on dead-end projects and behind the scenes of some movies. Did you know he even visited Mayberry? Yep, 2 appearances on the Andy Griffith Show. But Nicholson's major acting break came in Easy Rider, a film about 2 hippie motorcycle riders traveling from LA to New Orleans after a drug deal. And boy, this movie, the beautiful scenery, the incredible soundtrack, and the quest for finding truth. Oh, and Jack received an Oscar nomination for his role as George Hanson, the alcoholic lawyer.
Here's the first of the day, fellas.
And helped make the film a blockbuster hit, grossing over $40 million. Ironically, Nicholson only earned about $300 a week, but boy, were things about to change. Jack Nicholson was heavily into drugs throughout different periods of his career, and the drugs in Easy Rider weren't just for show. He spent much of the time fairly stoned, and he's done his share of cocaine as well as experimented with LSD. One biographer claims that Nicholson wrote his 1967 film, The Trip, while under the influence. And this Roger Corman-directed counterculture psychedelic film really was trippy. And Jack went on to embody some of the biggest roles to ever come out of Hollywood. And we need to know everyone's personal favorite, so make sure you leave a comment. From Nicholson's private investigator in 1974's critically acclaimed Chinatown,
Forget it, Jake, it's Chinatown.
to the following year in '75, which is my personal favorite. Nicholson was brilliant in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, and after being nominated for an Oscar basically every year of the '70s, he finally was awarded that coveted trophy for his R.P. McMurphy. When he's improvising that baseball game on the blank TV and gets all the boys riled up, the energy there is just remarkable. He really knocks it out of the park.
The chief.
Then, based on his work in Easy Rider, legendary director Stanley Kubrick chose him to star as Jack Torrance in the pop culture phenomenon The Shining in 1980.
Here's Johnny.
And his portrayal of Garrett Breedlove in 1983's Terms of Endearment earned him yet another Oscar win for Best Supporting Actor.
Let's broaden our minds. Lawrence?
What about that purple suit dance to Prince while defacing priceless art in Tim Burton's Batman? Nicholson took on the challenge of matching Cesar Romero's fantastic 60s version of the Joker, and this was a special role for Jack. As he grew up reading the Batman comics, he still considers this to be one of his favorite roles. So much so that he purchased the costume for $70,000. That's no joke.
Never rub another man's rhubarb.
Then you had his stern Colonel Jessup in 1992's A Few Good Men, which was a box office triumph. Those courtroom scenes were intense. And the crazy part is, Nicholson was paid $5 million for just 3 scenes. He was only on set for 10 days. What a gig. Jack's third Oscar win came co-starring with Helen Hunt in As Good as It Gets, and things sure were good. His most recent prominent role was Frank Costello in 2006's Scorsese-directed Boston drama, The Departed. Cue the cocaine toss like he's LeBron James. Speaking of LeBron, did you know Jack is an avid sports fan, with season tickets for the Lakers since the 70s. It's always fun to try to spot Jack courtside. And temper flare again. He was nearly ejected from a playoff game in 2003 after yelling at the refs. Nicholson also has a passion for golf. His clubs are worth $75,000, which makes what he did with that one club even more costly. In 1994, after reportedly being cut off in traffic, Nicholson took to the windshield of a driver with his driver in North Hollywood. Charges were dropped after Nicholson apologized to the man and paid him $500,000. In a very anti-Joker move, Jack is a huge art collector with an impressive collection, valued at over $100 million, with pieces by Picasso and Andy Warhol among many. Part of being that bad boy is people never question Jack. They just say, that's Jack, and move on. He took a trip to Cuba and hung out with Fidel Castro in 1998, in a time when the US and Cuba did not have a good relationship. But that's Jack. And the other side of the coin is his professionalism on set. It made him well respected in the industry. Yet, in his prime, he did have a reputation for being a womanizer, with some media outlets calling him the Great Seducer and Jack the Jumper. One Playboy model, Karen Mayo Chandler, stated, quote, "He's a non-stop sex machine. He's into fun and games." Speaking of Playboy, supposedly Nicholson's house was connected by tunnel to the mansion at one point, but Jack refuses to confirm or deny if it was really true. I'm sure Jack would appear in the tunnel and yell, "Here's Johnny." Nicholson only married once. His marriage to Sandra Knight in 1962 would only last 4 years, but the couple did have one daughter named Jennifer, who followed Dad into acting. And though he never married again, he did have several long-term relationships and several more children with different women. Notably, Jack had a 20-year off-and-on relationship with actress Angelica Houston, which ended when he had an affair with his next partner and mother of 2 of his children, Rebecca Broussard. So what is this 3-time Oscar winner up to, besides enjoying life and spending it with his 5 or 6 children, it's a little hazy. I mean, Jack's done quite a lot. He is the only male actor nominated for an acting Oscar in every decade from the 1960s to 2010. In total, 12 separate nominations make him the most Oscar-nominated male actor in history. He's been inducted into 2 state Hall of Fames, with his California entry in 2008 and home state of New Jersey in 2010. But why haven't we seen him on the silver screen since his last project, the 2010 romantic comedy How Do You Know, which, despite a strong cast and written and directed by TV king Taxi and Mary Tyler Moore's creator James L. Brooks, the movie flopped, and Nicholson now is a little more picky about his projects. It needs to speak to him. Though some others chime in that his decade-long absence is more tied to memory loss. But Nicholson stated that this is false, and he's simply bored with the movie life and enjoying retirement. There were stirrings of a Jack project in 2017, but it was scrapped before it could get off the ground. Not many people have seen or heard from Nicholson since his last public appearance at a 2019 Lakers game. But despite this, his grandson Duke, who is also an actor, has stated that Grandpa is doing really well. Nowadays, Jack spends most of his time alone at home. In a 2015 interview, he claimed he would like to have one more romance, but doesn't think it will happen. He now refuses to hit on women in public because he feels it's not right for his age. He claims he didn't want to work until the day he died, and that he never enjoyed the movie star life, the red carpets, the press junkets. He did it for the craft, and now he just wants to kick back and relax. Hey, it's on his bucket list. He deserves it. After all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. We wish him the best, and are eternally grateful for the roles that he brought to life. So let's toast to Jack. What is your personal favorite character that Jack Nicholson portrayed? Does that match your favorite movie that he's in? I'm curious to know both. So let us know in the comments below. We read everyone. And if you enjoyed our tribute to Jack, consider clicking that thumbs up for us. It really helps a lot. And subscribe to our channel so you never miss a throwback. From all of us here at Do You Remember, thanks so much for watching.